15 a.m.
I as well would like to drink a vodka soda in the morning. It would be a joy. Although,
What's the earliest you've had an alcoholic beverage?
Well, it has a question. Is sleep the differential? Because I've been up all night and continue to drink into the morning. So technically,
technically after 12 a.m., right?
Because like if you
know,
like, when I went to Vegas,
right.
I was drinking till like 6 o'clock in the morning, but I didn't sleep the night before. So does that count?
I think you have to. No, I think for the purposes of this query is that you have to have woken up and then start your day with a drink. So I'll let you know. When I've gone on vacation with like family and with friends. We've rented a cottage. And at about 9:45, I've cracked my first beer after breakfast, 10 o'clock in the morning. I will drink beer throughout the day, not to get loaded, just as a nice refreshment, a beverage. I usually crush about a 2-4 in about a 2 to 2.5 days.
This is your NOS. You're just starting up your day with a boost.
I'm not going there. I'm hanging out with the kids. I'm not driving a boat. It's chill days.
Honestly, I'm thinking about it, and I don't usually, if it's not like an overnight bachelor party or I'm in Vegas, I don't drink that early. But I can't think of the time. I think probably like 11 is probably the earliest I'm drinking on a non-Vegas, non-bachelor.
Right.
Like where there's what you said, there's not a continuation. Because like if you're up all night and drinking and you're going back,
your day hasn't reset. So that's
the day has not. Yes, the day has not reset. So it's a continuation. Because I remember
you got a bunch of open things on the table, and you're like, "This better not go to waste."
Well, Vegas is kind of a weird thing because like especially it was cheaper for me to get a vodka Red Bull to keep me going than it was for me to buy a Starbucks bottle coffee. Water. Honestly, so I'd go like in the casino, we just keep on tipping like a server waiter as you came by, but like give me a vodka soda, give them $2, and that was still cheaper than a $4 coffee from Starbucks. So I was just jamming on like. And sometimes they're like, just give me the Red Bull, not the alcohol, and I'll give you $4. And then I just kept on rolling through the day. So most definitely. Okay. John, when's the earliest?
I'm not really a drinker, so I just kind of have a little something towards the evening. So I've never even considered in the realm of possibility drinking early for no apparent reason.
Well, no, but I know some people then in the chat or whatever later would say, well, sometimes I have Baileys with my coffee when I wake up in the morning. I get that. I don't usually consider that to be an alcohol. I consider that to be a nice, a change up from your normal double or milk or whatever you're having. But I'm talking about like I've gone camping and it's beer time at 9:30. Yeah. Breakfast, wash up, crack open a beer and start your day. Just enjoy it.
That's the question to John is when was the last time you went camping? That's a whole other conversation. This is
camping's not for me. That's
there you go. That's it.
What is this cottaging camping life you're talking?
There's a big difference between camping and cottaging. I think those lines have blurred in the last 10 years. Cottaging used to be like I'm going to a shack that has a outhouse and doesn't have indoor plumbing, and now with these giant palatial estates in Ontario, it's as you're well aware of, they're just houses in that era with good septic systems. So this is
not to say I don't have a cottage, but we've rented cottages.
But now with like rentals too, you can rent a house that's just like up north in Muskoka, which is basically just a giant house, and it's just near water. Anyways, well, if you'd like to know more about our camping adventures, especially outdoor camping, which
drinking
you're not getting from me.
As the time when I camped outdoors and cheated by sleeping in a yurt on day 2. We'll talk about that another day. Outdoor camping for a bachelor party. That was fun times. Welcome to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. I'm your host, Stu Pei. With me is one of the owners and proprietors of Heroes World, that be John Ho. Say hello.
Howdy, folks.
And our resident Prince of Mischief, Mr. Rob Gadot. Say hello.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
So welcome, everyone.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night.
Good morrow. Welcome to our discussion on the amuse-bouche that was Disney Plus Day. And many people that I follow and listen to are like, we're planning for a full day and we didn't expect it just to be this 20-minute drop. So we'll give our thoughts quickly on that, and then we're going to do our review, which I imagine will be short and sweet, of the Ryan Reynolds, Vin Diesel, Gal Gadot vehicle, Red Notice. So here we go. Disney dropped some essentially just 3 videos on their service. I know Rob was a little upset by the fact they were doing videos instead of on YouTube, but there are just videos that were dropped and kind of had some trailers. For example, those who haven't watched it, specifically the Marvel one, it was like a 10-minute, here's everything you've missed on Marvel so far. All the Disney Plus shows, a sizzle reel of that, then 30 seconds of Moon Knight, 30 seconds of Miss Marvel, 30 seconds of Hawkeye, and then like a 2-minute, I guess, snippet of an episode. So that's what it was. The Star Wars, same thing, was like a here's what you missed, which is a nice segue of the podcast that happens on Thursday. What did I miss? And then for Obi-Wan, it was some concept pictures. Here's what's anticipating for Obi-Wan 2022. It was funny. Andre messaged like, any trailer? And I joked, I'm like, nah, it's going to be, I feel my prediction now, it's going to be May 4th. They're going to drop the Obi-Wan trailer then on May 4th, and then it won't come out till Christmas. Because based on the concept photos and everything, this show looks hella expensive. So they're not going to just rush it because the amount of CGI and things that's in this show. And also the fact that I don't think they're going to do season 2. So they're just going to really roll this out and really spend the money and time to make it look as movie-like as possible. So I anticipate it being there. They did some other Marvel pictures and things of just Twitter, like here's a still shot, here's a picture, and then they did a logo of it. And then as well as did a little bit of Rob and me laughed, a little bit of behind the scenes of Willow, and then a couple of the other Disney Plus / National Geographic shows starring Will Smith, Chris Hemsworth, which is This Is Earth, and the show where they try to kill Chris Hemsworth on a regular basis.
For science. It's for science, guys.
For science.
We're gonna make him push his body to the extreme.
Is Willow based off that really old movie?
That's correct. Name? Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
The Ron Howard vehicle starring the great Val Kilmer,
Madigan.
Yeah. And yes,
and Warwick Davis as Willow.
Yes. So there's that. So it is a continuation. So so some of the Marvel news that dropped was Marvel Zombies, House of Harkness. What else was X-Men 97, and all the other stuff we knew already that was coming out, which was Ironheart, Secret Invasion. They showed a picture of Samuel Jackson. So,
yeah.
You know, with his disheveled beard. There's that Obi-Wan Kenobi thing, Moon Knight trailer that was like really short, She-Hulk trailer really short, Miss Marvel trailer really short, like 30-second sizzle, Agatha, House of Harkness, I mentioned, Spider-Man cartoon show, freshman year, which I guess is a continuation of that. Echo, which is a spinoff of, I assuming, the Hawkeye show. Secret Invasion, I Am Groot, What If Season 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Willow, and Under the Helmet, which is a Legacy of Boba Fett, Zootopia Plus, Cars on the Road with Steve McQueen and Mater. So just in case you were missing, I'm sure John's
Lightning McQueen, not Steve McQueen.
Lightning McQueen.
Steve McQueen. Oh, what a great show!
Lightning McQueen. John can't wait for that one with Mater. And John, don't worry, Larry the Cable Guy is back. He was busy, but he cleared his schedule to make sure he's available. So he's there too. Disenchanted, the sequel to Amy Adams and Patrick Dempsey, because we haven't seen them for a while. Cheaper by the Dozen, Hocus Pocus 2, Ice Age, The Age of Buck Wild, and a Baymax TV show. And the Spiderwick Chronicles, Pinocchio, The Beatles Get Back, and Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, starring Andy Samberg and John Mulaney. So so that's all the news that dropped. Are you, Rob, interested in any of this?
Oh, good morning, everybody. Hi, welcome to the podcast. Listen, I think it's great that you did a rundown, but that was about with as much fanfare and fun as the Disney day that we had on Friday. After the events of DC's Fandom, after even Netflix's To Doom. We were all kind of expecting, they had hyped this shit up for like a few months now, that you would be a streaming event like the aforementioned 2 streaming services I had, just talked about. I was like all ready for this. And instead it was a Twitter refresh, where Disney Plus US and Disney Plus Canada had different announcements, or Disney Plus Canada was exceptionally delayed by like almost an hour at times. I thought
there was nothing on the service itself, because I tried clicking the Disney Plus and I was like looking for like a tab and I didn't see anything.
They ended up dropping a 14-minute, as Stu had already mentioned, a 14-minute, hey, here's everything you've missed, here's what's coming out. The problem is the Moon Knight or the She-Hulk or the Ms. Marvel, they only had still photos intermixed in that. You ended up about an hour or so after Disney Day ended, you ended up having to find these sizzle reels, these 30-second trailers or whatever on different websites. FanWire had one, Indie, they were all over the place. Like, they weren't consistent. So am I excited about anything that was announced? Yeah, okay. But I thought that the delivery of Disney Day was horrible. I hated it. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was amateurish. And I'll be very honest with you. I've said this to you guys numerous times in the past, and Stu's comeback has always been, well, Rob, it's like Pokemon. You got to catch them all. I think that it is now it's too much. Like, too much of a good thing is never good. Do you know what I'm saying? And I now you've got all these Marvel TV shows. I'll just stick with the Marvel stuff. You have all these Marvel TV shows. You have all these Marvel movies. It gets to be you're spreading yourself way out there. And I think that
because
I'll tell you, because we watched all these episodes on Disney Plus. There's the Loki, WandaVision. We do all this stuff for you guys, right? We're fans, but we do it for you. I think though, if we had our druthers, we would have just waited for it to binge watch as opposed to watching it weekly, because the shows aren't at the same level of capturing us as we've seen in the movies, right? The movies, you get a nice 2.5 hours and you're there. I think a commitment of a weekly basis on the shows that they've released thus far has been kind of difficult, except for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That one was you were kind of excited to see it. I just think it's getting to be too much. I suspect we've got, and 10 years sounds like a lot, but I suspect you've got about another 10 solid years of this stuff, and the audience will start to dissipate. People are not going to be watching these shows or these movies as often, because you just get tired of you have too much. You want to move on to something different. And I think that we're starting to see this with Marvel. I think that they've got way too much in the pipe. So
I disagree, but
okay.
I think the standpoint of their whole process is about doing a weekly show, which is fine. There's a continuation and no break. Right now, we have weeks breaks in between these TV shows, and if they're lining up, it's going to be basically every Friday or Wednesday till a year that you're going to have content on Disney Plus, which is what the streaming service is about. Netflix has something new every week. Disney Plus is trying to emulate that, because as you saw inside on the notes, that the user base didn't climb as high as Disney wanted to in terms of stock prices. So at the end of the day, they're doing this to, as we talk about every cent, raising the portfolio and the price and shares of the Disney stocks. So every week a new show comes out, you can watch it, you cannot watch it, but they just need content every week. And Netflix is doing that. May not be good content, but they are dropping something everything.
Yeah. You'll open your Netflix like every day almost to kind of see what's up. Disney, you'll either wait for someone to tell you something new came out, or maybe once a week you'll be like, anything new? You scroll around, you're like, oh, these Disney movies, I've seen these 100 times. But the new Hawkeye, it didn't start yet. Okay, close this. I'm going back to Netflix. 100%. I think Steve's right.
I think
right.
But I think you're Rob, that I understand what you're saying, maybe 10 years from now, but I think there's a generation of people like all the people that watch The Lord of the Rings back in the day, or Harry Potter, or it's like once it's ingrained in you, you just are going to continuously do it. It may not be the same fervorish fan base that it will be in 10 years, but there's going to be a following of these things, because there's a whole generation of kids who've grown up with it and they have unlimited content to watch all the superhero stuff that will continue. It'll be interesting to see how it moves forward. Maybe there'll be a few less TV shows, but at the end of the day, Disney is trying to churn out content on Disney Plus. And as John mentioned before we started, there's hits or misses, like the Home Alone thing that none of us watched and none of us are interested in at all. But it is something you just got to just churn it out. And with the pandemic being as difficult it is to film, and we're starting to see a resurgence in certain countries, Disney has to continue to push things out because you don't know when the theaters is going to go back to normal. Right now in terms of
I get that. But I think part of the problem, though, is that we've talked about this ourselves throughout this podcast, even off, is that as we grow, we get into adulthood, and all these people, you have a finite amount of time that you dedicate to your extracurricular activities, whatever that is. Whether
that's us, though, Rob. These young kids,
whether it's watching
all day, all the time.
Yeah, but whether you're watching movies or TV shows or this and that, the Netflix idea that you can watch, like we watched Red Notice for the show today, but we didn't have to. You can watch that whenever. That's the nice thing about Netflix, is that you're not stuck having to watch it because one thing doesn't necessarily lead into the other. The problem is if you have so much content from Disney Plus for these Marvel shows that do tie into the movies, that you would make time out of your, when it drops in March to go see Doctor Strange 2, but knowing that other things have tied into it from the Disney Plus shows, it all of a sudden now becomes work. And if you have a certain amount of time that you want to dedicate to your Marvel property, but you also, hey, I want to watch Succession, I want to have all that, you have to make a decision. And sometimes we've all started shows and we've watched them and you're into the third season, then they drop because it's not holding my attention anymore. I'm moving on. There's other new shows that are coming on. This is the problem. Now because they are so entwined with the movie properties that it's an event to go see a movie. It's work to now watch all of these shows Rob, to tie in.
It's not, I understand your concept and your thought process, but to be fair, the Marvel movies are a thing where they basically make it as inviting as possible, so you don't need to watch the shows.
We don't know that yet, though. In all fairness,
no. It's always been that way, where it is watching the show is for the uber nerds and the people like, yes, I can see the Easter eggs, I understand what's going on, but you don't have, like for Shang-Chi, you didn't have to watch or know anything to watch that movie. I had many friends and relatives who went to watch it, just like Black Panther. They're going to make these movies where you don't have to know anything, but if you want to introduce you a deep dive further, you can watch the TV shows to do it. It is just the segue to get you to watch the rest of Disney Plus shows. That's the way they're marketing, where here's a product, but if you want to learn more, go to this other side to watch.
Yeah, but think about Captain Marvel 2. You now, before walking into that movie, it's not a direct sequel per se to Captain Marvel. Now you have to have watched WandaVision plus Ms. Marvel to understand what those other two main characters are.
I think that's what they would like you to believe.
Yeah,
so
we'll see.
Consume that content.
We're
gonna and then watch.
We'll find
any
out.
of them show up for like a 10-second cameo, and
they're not. It's called The Marvels. All three of them are going to be main stars in that.
They're going to be in the. But to your point, Rob, we have to wait and see what happens. Again, they might just do a quick
it could be
exposition dump. Like again, I think they're going to teeter that line back and forth. But again, it's. We'll see what happens. All right. Yeah. We're gonna continue on because this is John. Do you have any random questions? Anything you cared about in the trailers and videos?
So it's kind of funny. So this is where I benefit from not sitting there and waiting for the live event. Like I got like you guys had all these messages in the chat, and then I got a bunch of messages from other people. So it seemed like a big deal. I'm like, oh, look at all these cool new announcements. But yeah, it would suck to be there and be like, oh, here's Obi-Wan. Here's a picture. Here's an announcement of something else coming out. But from the list that I saw, I came up with 3 things that I'm really looking forward to. Yep. So number 3 is Enchanted 2, Disenchanted, whatever it's called. Yep. So that Amy Adams, James Marsden, I forgot who else was in there.
Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah. They just added the first one to Disney Plus, but I was okay. I owned it on Blu-ray already. I'm looking forward to that.
It's a good film. It's a great film. Yeah, it's great.
It's a great, like, that and Kate Leopold are 2 of my favorite kind of like
and Susan Sarandon is in that, the first one. Yeah, she plays the queen. Rob, you don't know what you're missing. Shut up. It's a great movie.
And also, throwback to our old podcast, the best movie with a dragon in it. So other than Bruce Lee, because you disqualified my Bruce Lee the Dragon movie, but
he's not still a dragon.
All right, so looking forward to that. Second thing I'm looking forward to, X-Men. Is it 87 or whatever it's called?
97.
97. Yeah. About time. Like, I don't know why this hasn't been a franchise or era that they've gone back and milked. If you ask anyone if they like X-Men, they usually go back to this Jim Lee era, and it is usually the cartoon that leads them to the X-Men. So for them not to be banking on this,
probably right.
Yeah, a lot of these
Fox didn't want to do it.
Animated shows,
Fox was like, we want to watch movies. We don't want to do TV shows. That's slumming it, John.
Yeah, nobody watches animated cartoons anymore, so we're not going to make a new cartoon.
Yeah, I don't know, but is it a TV show or is it just
a TV show
doing projects?
No, it's a TV show.
Because it'd be kind of cool to see movies.
Most of the actors have said they're coming back, although one of the actresses who was Jubilee posted on Twitter that she's back, but she won't be Jubilee. Because they're going to get an appropriate actress, but she'll have another part in the show.
She's not Asian or something like that.
She's not Asian, no.
Yeah. I did quite like her voice, but anyways, so looking forward
she's
to
in a bunch of other stuff, John. That's why you probably know her. She's a voice actress in Toronto. So
there's the most of them were Canadians. Most of the voice actors for that show were Canadian. So
all right. So we're gonna go audition. I nominate Rob for Iceman. So and then number one, you guys haven't mentioned it at all. Sneakerella.
Sneakerella.
That reimagining of Cinderella.
Yeah.
But with sneakers. So shout outs to you, sneakerheads. I saw in the trailer they show a bunch of like new Adidas and stuff like that. Sure, why not? Bring it on. I thought that was pretty funny. All the other Marvel stuff
is going to be Hocus Pocus 2 for you as the still of Hocus Pocus.
No, hell no. Maybe
you're going to drop. You're going to say
but that
Sneakerella,
scares him.
Poo poo. Hocus Pocus 2.
No, he's scared of Hocus. There's a scene in that movie that scares him. He doesn't like it.
That's true. John doesn't like scary movies. So yes. Okay, Rob, what do you like? What do you want?
So I will, even despite my rant about the delivery of it, I am excited to see more of the Moon Knight stuff. I thought it sounded like Oscar Isaac was doing a couple of different voices, which is really cool because obviously it's multiple personalities. So they're taking that Jeff Lemire run, I think, and adapting that. The She-Hulk stuff, I've gone on record saying I don't know how this is going to work. A half-hour law comedy. I'm not really. I don't really know.
Apparently, it's like 24. It's in real time.
Okay, so so I would like to. I like to see that, but I will say at the very end, Tatiana Maslany and Maslany, sorry, and Mark Ruffalo, they did a kind of an homage to the '78 Hulk TV show where she's like, "You don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." It was really kind of cool looking at that. That will probably not be part of the show. It was just a cool little.
I think original Hulk. Maybe they have pivoted because I think if
how do you not don't know, you have to.
She-Hulk normally is green all the time, so she's Hulk out. She's permanently green. So I think they're doing the show. They're like, permanent green isn't a good idea. Let's kind of change it up. So I imagine the reason why Bruce Banner is a human again is because if you don't know, the reason why Jennifer Walters has his power is that she had a blood transfusion when she got in an accident and she needed her cousin Bruce Banner to do it. So I imagine he's going to have to change to a human because you can't poke the Hulk because his skin wouldn't let that happen. So he changes back to a human and he can't change back to the Hulk anymore. So that's the problem. So then he helps her kind of deal with this, and she has gained the Hulk powers based on that blood transfusion.
Yeah, and you can see there's that clip where she's inside of a containment field and he's on the outside. Well, interestingly enough, his arm is no longer fried from Infinity War, or Endgame, sorry. And then the stuff that we didn't get to see. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second though. But the stuff we didn't get to see, I was like, oh, pretty cool. I mean, the still photo of Samuel L. Jackson in Secret Invasion, I just would have liked to have a little bit more. I think the Spider-Man freshman years, that isn't in continuity. This takes place after he gets his powers. So I don't know if Tom Holland's voicing Spider-Man. He's not okay. No. But it will have a lot like his first year, essentially year one of the Marvel Sony MCU Spider-Man. So that's pretty cool. The X-Men 97. I love that cartoon. But the Ms. Marvel thing. This is interesting because I was asking Stu. I know that if people are to Google the images, you're going to see Ms. Marvel in a Marvel, what was her name? Marvel woman. What was her name? Captain Marvel. In a mask. And you're like, what? That's a homemade costume. She obviously has powers. However, you see her inside of this purple cloud void. kind of when you saw in Captain Marvel as well as in the WandaVision. So my question, Stu, is do you think that this is tied, that when Ms. Marvel gets her powers, because she's in New Jersey, and WandaVision took place in a suburb outside of New Jersey, I believe. Do you believe that when Monica Rambeau passed through the field and the containment field exploded, that this is how this ties into Ms. Marvel getting her powers? Because it's very similar, and it's no. Okay.
No. So the rumor is from people from the message boards in the world is that they're changing and pivoting her powers. So traditionally, she is an Inhuman that gained her powers when in the comic book series, when the Inhumans basically blew up the magical device, the Terrigen gas, and then basically it just engulfed the earth, and everyone gained that was the Inhumans gene was activated. Right. So again, for those who don't know, Inhumans are basically an offshoot of the Celestials slash Eternals slash Deviants. But and when Marvel lost the mutants, they're like, yeah, we're just gonna pivot. The Inhumans are the mutants of this universe, and we're gonna depower all the mutants, get rid of them, and then we're gonna focus on the humans. Guess what happened? No one cared.
TV show was shit.
And then
the
TV show was
humans.
So it went to theaters.
They are, Anyway, so they're pivoting, and that was a ABC. They didn't spend the money. Anyways, it was a mistake all around. I think it's going to be an Elseworld. They don't treat it as canon anyways. It's kind of like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. / Netflix TV shows. It's all in a separate universe. Yeah. Because it doesn't count. In terms of the powers, the rumors are that it's magic based. Right. And that she's getting it, she's going to be like a genie. Like she's going to get it because again, she is from, in the traditional sense, she's from the Middle East, Arabic type of thing. So they're going to be like, oh, it's going to be like genie magic. And she's going to be that's how she's going to get her powers. So either she's going to be a genie or she's getting the powers from a genie, or kind of like she's going to be like a djinn, and that's how she's going to do that's how they're going to integrate it. Just like how they pivoted Shang-Chi's rings. They're just going to make it where it makes sense to them. It's like, well, we're not going to worry about Inhumans because that doesn't make sense. So she's going to.
Well, I like my idea better then.
Your idea is just a concept, Rob. It's not really an idea. It's just she gets Terrigen gas, and that's it. She gets
I didn't know. No, I'm saying is she gets the powers based on the what happened in the events of WandaVision. I think that's better than her being stuck in a bottle and somebody rubs it and she pops out.
Like that. What thing is, if Andre was here, we would talk about the djinns from Supernatural. They're not in bottles. They're supernatural beasts that are, not always in a bottle. So that's just your.
Well, I have Christina Aguilera singing Genie in a Bottle in my head now. So thank you very much, because I don't want that earworm today. Look great.
Yeah.
Now I know what it's like to be John.
Yeah,
jerk.
So that's the thing. And then the Hawkeye, which I'm excited about. The video that was dropped was the thing on the car where they come in the door, and immediately Kate Bishop's like, let's take this car. It looks really cool. And Hawkeye turns like, we're not busting a 72 Charger. So, and then they jump in this ghetto ass Pontiac, which was great.
No, that was a Lincoln Town car. That's also a classic. It's not quite as glorious as a Challenger, but it's
John,
also
if we had
a very
the choice
cool
and
car.
you got a Lincoln Town car and I got the Challenger, you'd be like, I'm cool with that. I don't want the Challenger.
No, obviously you want the Challenger, but the Town car is a very nice vehicle as well. It's a very
but if you had first pick, you would take the Lincoln Town car? No, you would not.
I'm tempted. I need a family car. That's the deal. Right, so that's a big land yacht, basically, those town cars.
Let's remember this: when someone's going to gift us a car, John would like the Lincoln Town car. I will take the 72 Charger. Thank you very much.
Challenger.
John will take Rob will take the straight cash. So let's just wear that out.
I'll take an electric car because I just filled up my wife's Mazda 5.
He can have the Nissan Versa.
$80 yesterday, so I'm on a very happy camper today. So
yeah, that's a thing. All right, any other final thoughts before we go into Red Notice, our review on that? Anything else you want to talk about Disney Plus Day?
Yeah, well, I'll just a couple things I'll throw out. Like you mentioned the Will Smith, Chris Hemsworth stuff. Like the National Geographic shows, they had full 1.5-minute trailers for that. I was just surprised to how much attention was paid to like the Sneakerella thing, like John mentioned. Like you saw full trailers for those, and
the Proud Family.
Right. And I think what most
bigger and louder, or louder and prouder. Sorry.
Most people were there were to probably see a little bit more of the MCU stuff and the Star Wars. And I thought that there was not a lot there. It was quite the nerds, as nerds do on the interwebs, were quite upset and angry that they didn't get what they wanted. Whatever. I will say the funniest thing though for me, and I've gone back and watched it, and I would encourage anybody to go and see it, was the Willow behind the scenes. Now you don't actually see any behind the scenes per se. It's Warwick Davis talking about Willow and introducing us to the new cast of characters who are all, sitting around a picnic table, having lunch during filming, and he's trying to interact with them and talk to them. And it is stupid funny. Like, it is way more funnier than it has any right to be. Right. Yeah. And it makes me wonder if it's tied to like Stephen Merchant and Ricky Gervais when they did Life's Too Short and Idiot Abroad, because Warwick Davis is funny.
Extras, baby. That's what they're talking about.
Sure. But it's so funny that I think I messaged Stu privately. I was like, holy shit, like this is the best part of Disney Plus Day, was this 2 minutes. So I would really encourage people to go, because man, it will, if you're having a shitty day, you don't even need to know about Willow. Like John doesn't know about Willow, but you could watch this and you would actually quite enjoy it. So
for those who don't know, Extras is a TV show that came out in 2005 starring Ricky Gervais. Sure. There's a pivotal scene with Kate Winslet, and he plays an extra talking about what she should do to win an Oscar. That came true. There's a fun joke between him and Patrick Stewart about stuff. Samuel L. Jackson is in it. And then, Warwick Davis is in it, and they all play like ridiculous versions of ridiculous versions of themselves. So it is a really funny show in terms of, as Ricky Gervais plays an extra, and he's hanging out with all these celebrities and whatnot. Including, I think he actually does I think he's an extra on Doctor Who as well, which is fantastic.
But this thing, I mean, we know Willow's not going to be a comedy by any sense of the imagination, right? I mean, however, this 2 minute or 2.5 minute little thing made me be like, you know what? I watched the first episode of that Willow just because they've earned my respect in this and what they did with this laugh. So yeah.
So we're gonna jump quickly to Rob. We were talking before about the fact that Spider-Man, this big trailer that they're basically like, the cat's out of the bag. God. We gotta do this trailer. It's coming out
Tuesday.
On Tuesday. But it is only potentially coming out
never.
So there's a couple events happening in America, and saying like,
massive fan events too. Massive with like games, and it's a spectacle to watch a 3-minute trailer. Is this big massive they're selling tickets to it. There's a special event. It will not, maybe it'll be streamed somewhere to see like a red carpet rollout of a trailer. It's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard of.
Brilliant.
God bless Kevin Feige and the whatever. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, so you want me to continue?
No,
so I guess
fine. You think it's bad. I think it's a great idea because they got to get people to the theater. I think it's going to be, it's going to arcen back in the days. I've told the story many times when, like, I think my brother and Mike B and John all went to go to watch You Got Mail, because there was a rumor that the Star Wars trailer Phantom Menace was going to be in it. So they all trucked along. They're like, we're going to go. And then they went to the theater to watch You Got Mail. And then they ended up just staying and watching the movie. The trailer didn't show up, and they're like, well, we're here. So they end up staying and watching it. And they all were, to this day, they're like, we all went to watch this trailer, but it was a good movie. So,
well, I remember those. Yeah, and you would go to the theater, and there would be like a notice plastered on onto the machine to buy your tickets, and it would say like, yes, we are showing a trailer for Star Wars. No, we will not refund you your tickets after after the trailers, like, because people were doing that. Like, oh, I don't really want to see this movie, and they're giving your money back. The question will be, though, gentlemen, will this trailer drop on Tuesday online, or will it be exclusively in theaters? Because Sony's Ghostbusters is coming out this coming Friday. So will the trailer then drop online Monday, a week tomorrow?
I think they're gonna wait. They're gonna do like the old school. They drop it. They're gonna take it. They're gonna do what they before, and like everyone, because I think for that special event in LA and something, they'll do what they always do. Everyone lock up their cell phones in the baggies and be like, here you go, lock it in. If you want to go, you're gonna hold it out, and then they're gonna watch it. People are gonna build up the hype on social media and whatnot. Talk about how they saw all 3 Spider-Men. Spider-Man, and then they're like, look, Spider-Man, all of them, the Spider-Man, and
but
then
do you
they're
think
like,
that's a smart thing,
Spider-Man.
though? Do you think it's a smart thing to do?
Yeah.
That you have some people online going, oh my God, we saw it, and people like in 99.9% of the rest of the world going, fuck you, LA. Like, why the hell are you guys keeping it to yourselves? Nobody can see it online.
No, it's gonna come online. We're in the age where they can't not release it online. So they can build all the hype they want. I'd be very surprised. I think it would be a smart move to make it only available when you watch one of their other movies.
But that's
kind of like sell multiple products at once. But in the age of online, they're not gonna let some guy record it somehow and get all the clicks, you know.
I hope John's right.
John, because remember when they do 2 years ago when they did that before the pandemic, the giant Avengers thing, and then they showed that Avengers trailer at Fan Expo or like at the Comic-Con, and then they didn't show it anywhere else, and they're like, yep, no, and then there was all this shaky cam video of stuff going on, people screaming, and they just held and sat on that Avengers trailer, and they're like, yeah, we're good. So it's like it's still making it an event and making it worthwhile. Like again, it's helping the fan expos and all this, because again, that is what you're going to do. And we saw how painful the fandom and all these other things when you do it digital. There's no experience, and they want to drive people to the theater. Yeah, so it is. There's a thing.
But we see trailers on whether you're watching on your television or your phone or your tablet or whatever when they drop. When I see them in a theater, I still get excited. Even though I'm like, oh, I just saw this like a couple days ago because it just dropped online. I'm still hyped to see it in the big screen. Like I'm going to go see Ghostbusters this weekend. Yeah.
There's a thing to get people in the theater. There's something about watching a movie in a theater with people and having that experience. It is different than watching at home. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I remember when I was watching Eternals, the people behind us were just good and also bad at the same time. They're giggling and they're like, all the things happening, and you hear that experience, and they were chatting at other points, and I'm like, shut up. But it is, this is the audible laughs and cheers and clapping as well. So I think to Marvel and Sony, they're like, we got to do this because the cat's out of the bag. But I also heard there's like 3 different trailers. Maybe they'll drop one on the Tuesday, and then that one won't be dropped. It'll be another trailer they drop without the Spider-Man. And because there have been multiple trailers cut, one with the 3 Spider-Men, one without the Spider-Man. So they're going to do a bunch of different combinations of trailers, and then that's the way they'll do it. And that's
would it have been better if they did one trailer with Tom Holland Spider-Man, one with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Oh, that would be kind of funny, yeah.
One with Andrew Maguire.
I would rather, Rob, if we're going full out, do it, but then all the other trailers, they superimpose Tom Holland's face with a little mask on the other Spider-Man. They're like, yeah, here's a trailer, and like, oh my god, is that Tom Holland? Wait,
Andrew Garfield?
No, it has a Tom Holland mask on, and you're like, oh, this is fun. Or
they deep faked it. They deep faked it.
Yeah, they did. Or they make mustaches on all of them. They're like, oh, we're Tom Holland. So
the glasses with the nose and the mustache. Yeah. Oh, you're Groucho Marx, the Spider-Man.
Yeah, because we can do that on these Zoom calls. You just don't know that we can superimpose like a mustache or like a glasses. So why don't I do that on the movies?
That's like John doesn't really look like that. Everybody, he's actually got he's deep faked himself to look.
Like those glasses aren't real. He just do it to look smart, and that mustache is fake as well. So
no, that's real. He's a pervert.
It's stereotyping people with mustaches. Get out of town.
For the guy who can't grow anything. I actually haven't shaved in a week. I don't know if you guys can tell. All
right. Well, because Rob's hair is very fine. That's the problem. Why he doesn't grow facial hair? Because it
I think Rob is very fine. That's what you meant.
I think he waxes his face.
Yeah, he has to. Still, yep, it's true. No,
it's perfect.
All right, we're gonna jump over to Red Notice, begrudgingly to Red Notice. Here we go. Anyways, I think I'm excited to see what happens. I think it'll be on the trailer for like you said, Rob, for Ghostbusters, and drive people to see that movie. Great, good for Sony. Let's keep on going. Keep things a mystery, even though that picture came out. The picture was not high quality, anyways. So that dropped online. So it is what it is. All right, so we're gonna jump to our review of Red Notice. This is a Netflix vehicle. I believe it was Universal first, and then they're like, yeah, Netflix will buy it and produce it and film it and everything.
So this was originally supposed to come out in theaters?
Originally, it because The Rock has a first right of refusal deal with Universal, I believe. So he gets to pitch them, and then if they don't want it, then he goes somewhere else. So eventually, I think Universal's like, yeah, we'll pass. And he's like, okay, good. We'll go to Netflix and do it there. And I don't know what the full budget is, but it is on par with, I assume, any other Netflix movie because there was lots of CGI and lots of things that happened in it. But John, you watched it.
I thought I saw something in the 200 million range or something like that when I was poking around online. But
maybe it was the salary to those people involved.
Yeah. Rumor is that they each got paid 20 mil for these parts. Do you think this movie was filmed before they sold it to Netflix, or they had the idea, they sold it to they had the idea, they sold it to Netflix, and then they sold it to Netflix, and then they made it so it's essentially a Netflix original movie.
100%. Yeah. That's why they own it or whatever. I'm sure there were some parts filmed in other parts of the world, but 200 million, which is astounding because it does not look like it's $200 million. But we're gonna. That's just we're gonna get to it. But John, give us your overall quick thoughts of this movie before did you like it?
So if you haven't seen it, I'm keeping it spoiler free. So if you're watching Netflix movies, I feel like we have to grade them on a curve right now. They're not at a point where you can compare it to a regular movie. So a Netflix movie, when I think about a Netflix movie, it's something you just pop on the streaming. You don't have to sit and concentrate and watch it. You could be eating dinner, you could be doing something else, and you pop this movie on and hopefully catches your attention enough that you stop doing whatever you're doing and you kind of look at the screen for a little bit and watch the movie. So you got three big star power people, and they basically just play to their strengths. So Ryan Reynolds, he's the funny guy. The Rock, he's the stoic, badass guy who gets in a little bit of comedy. And then you throw Gal Gadot in the mix. So as far as just a general movie, this is fun. You'll have fun with it. It feels kind of like an old school. It almost felt like what I thought Jungle Cruise was going to be, but Jungle Cruise turned out to be way kiddier. It's more of like kind of like an old action movie that's not. I don't know what you'd say. I do like
a national treasure.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
like
don't bring that. Don't add those two together, please. Please don't.
I'm trying to think of what else. Like it's kind of like a Fast and the Furious light or something
really
like that.
Hard to make it like Romancing the Stone, like this kind of fun comedy adventure. And trying to do it. And then there's the buddy cop element. So I can imagine during the pitch, The Rock is like, okay, it's kind of like the following three things. It's like another 48 hours combined with, National Treasure / Romancing the Stone, because there's a romance possibly brewing between, there's chemistry behind The Rock.
Or like Beverly Hills Cop 3 comes to mind. They just wanted to make a silly action movie. I thought for a second it was for kids, but they threw in some kind of dirty jokes. But as a kid, there was a lot of dirty jokes in movies that I watched that I just didn't get. So I think this is be fine. So they all play to their strengths. There's no real surprises here other than some plot elements like towards the end. And I think y'all have fun. It looks nice as far as net quality to Netflix. I think it looks good enough. It looks good. It's not going to blow your mind. It's not going to be a Dune, right?
But oh well, don't even. Dune cost almost the same amount of money. But I just want to say that the thing about this Netflix thing is that we have to stop saying for Netflix, because Netflix now is releasing their movies in theaters for like a week or two in selected theaters, so they can get. In theaters, I can no longer I don't think say this
would have been as strong
for Netflix, because they want to be for awards and other things too, and because there's criteria, you have to play these in the movie theater. So I think this was played in the movie theater in selected theaters in New York and LA for 2 weeks, and then it came out on Netflix. So that's the way.
I think that was just so the stars could have a red carpet event, probably.
Well, they just want to be nominated for the Golden Globes or awards and whatnot.
No, I think this is, you can tell it's a Netflix project, but if you compare it to other stuff like Underground 6 and things like that, it's definitely better than those, but maybe not as good as people. I think it's 100% better than Underground 6. I've tried to watch Underground 5 times, whatever it's called.
I think, John, 6 Underground from a photography / cinematography / look. 6 Underground looks way better. That first,
I'll give you visually it looks better, but story wise, it's a mess. So I like that they just basically
one would say there needs to be a story for Red Notice to be a mess, but we're gonna continue on to Rob. Rob,
I was just actually checking to see if Red Notice was playing in a theater, and funny enough, it actually is playing at my local theater. I thought it was quite surprising. So,
Mm.
yeah, interesting. Okay. The movie, you know what? Actually, I kind of disagree with John. I think that this probably would have made some money if it was in theaters. I attest this to kind of being the same as The Rock Skyscraper or Rampage. Like it kind of folds into that style of movie where Hitman's bodyguard's wife, like it's this action comedy that will probably pull in $120 million over like a 5-week run, and it'll be considered a hit, and you'll get money overseas. So I actually think that this probably could have played. I don't think it is the typical made for Netflix movie that we've seen.
I know. Did you go to Hitman's Bodyguard in the theaters though? Either
no,
of you guys?
I didn't, but it still made some money. Like, and Skyscraper. I don't remember to be very honest with you. I was actually trying to think, when was the last time I went and saw a movie in the theater where The Rock was starring in it, aside from like the Fast movies.
Yeah,
I can't think of one that I've actually gone to the theater. I maybe took my son to go see Rampage, but I don't remember. I remember watching it at home. So
I'm pretty sure you went to Rampage.
So I might have, yeah. So that's because he wanted to go. So aside from that, most of these I've seen in
Hobbs and Shaw. You did not go to Hobbs and Shaw or Jumanji?
Oh, we did go see Hobbs and Shaw.
Jumanji, yeah.
Jumanji, yeah, the Jumanji. Okay, so there you go. So
and John would go back and say he watched. I think Baywatch is the one that John probably can remember the last one.
I did see Baywatch. That was not like, I wish Baywatch had a simpler plot like this.
And then before that, Rob, is Moana. That was probably you for sure.
Okay, so I would. I mean, the Hobbs and Shaw I count as a Fast Furious, fine. But then I would, okay, fine. Jumanji, we did go to the theater. But this, I feel that this kind of all it falls into that same type of mold. So I think it would have done well in theaters. I think it would have been fine in theaters. This is what my summarization though is of the entire movie. To quote my buddy Stu here, it was fine. It's okay. Like it's not bad. It's not great. It's good. There are many of things.
Red Notice. It's not bad.
No, but you could waste your time on a whole bunch of other things that we've watched before, and you could, your time would be better spent watching this over some of the other things. So
yeah, did you guys watch the one with Anthony Mackie and
Pain and Gain,
the Crossbones guy?
Pain and Gain.
No, the Crossbones guy from it was a Netflix
Frank
movie.
Grillo.
I forgot what it was.
Yeah, it's some futuristic one, right? I haven't seen.
No, it wasn't futuristic. It was they were like it was like a quasi buddy action,
Okay.
and it definitely was not as good as this. And then Frank Grillo had another one called Wheelman, which was really like weird.
Why are we talking about Frank Grillo? He's not even a movie star.
He's in everything. Anyways, yeah, sorry.
John, that's no. We're talking about The Rock here. Don't put them all in the same breath.
I watched it with my son. He was laughing. He likes Ryan Reynolds, so it played to that stuff. He likes it quite a bit. He likes The Rock and Gal Gadot. He really only knows as Wonder Woman, right? He doesn't know her for anything else. So that's fine.
Fast movies, man.
Well, okay, yeah, but yes. But he doesn't really he more attributes to seeing her as WW. So, because I can't say Wonder Woman without stumbling. So, at any rate,
you just did it.
It was a cool movie. I think there was a lot of talk about the opening shot, and that that opening shot that was overhead and that zooms up through a car chase and then pulls right up to the Rock. Like that was all one shot. But they said that they had essentially created the technology to allow that literally a few weeks before they started filming it. So I want to see the behind the scenes and how
it was some type of drone.
That was a pretty
first
cool
use
thing.
of a drone.
So I was, I mean, like it's fine. It's fun. It has fun moments. It has a lot of moments where you're like, oh my God, please keep going. Like move this thing along because it kind of slows down a bit. As John has said perfectly, everybody plays to their cutout square peg. Like, this is who you are. This is who you are. And I didn't see the twist or whatever at the end. Oh, pretty cool. All right, neat. And that was it. So, am I better for have watched it? No, but am I any worse off? No, it is what it is. And enough so that it seems like they might be making a Red Notice 2 potentially, and I would watch it based off of this one. So,
all right, John, what's your giving your rating out of 10?
Ooh, out of 10. I'm grading on a curve again still. Like I said, these Netflix movies, we have to grade differently. So I would give
you don't grade differently. A movie's a movie. The thing is, because they're doing it in theaters now and making a box office to be considered for awards, you can no longer say. And the fact that a Netflix movie got nominated for Oscar,
take it into consideration, and we're going to be we're going to talk about another Netflix movie later on this week, The Harder They Fall. This one I would only give a 7 out of 10.
Rob?
Yeah, I'm about. I would say I was between a 7 and 7.5. So I'll just go a tick higher because I want to beat John. So I'll go 7.5.
You mother. Stu, what would you give it?
6.
What are your spoiler-free thoughts? Yeah, 6.
6. First 2 acts were interesting and engaging. The whole movie falls apart in the 3rd act, where I'm just going, this is like the 12-year-old like this movie. Like it was just so like,
My
like
son would be offended.
Honestly, like this is like a movie where like the plot is so light, and they try to get you with the gotcha moments. Like the first person's like, gotcha, where I did this. And you're like, okay, that bit worked nice the first time. And then they do it again and then again. And I'm like, oh, this is a thing. Like those gotcha moments only work once. And they execute it very well in the beginning.
Should you just go spoiler free? Like, should you just go spoilers through and just talk about?
I'll go to a second, and then you're like, wah. But I feel like, like again, Ryan Reynolds and The Rock and Gal Gadot, like, and I feel like it's uneven, the 3 characters, because there's so much emphasis on The Rock and Ryan Reynolds, and frankly, they can hold their own, and they're doing their own shtick. Like we joke about, they're Vince Vaughn, they're doing Vince Vaughn. That's what they do. And then what really held the movie down was Gal Gadot, because for most of the movie, for the first 2 acts, she's struggling. She doesn't have the chemistry to catch up to the 2 guys. Yeah. So it's like she's just there. She's a sultry like thing, but she's not. Let's see, she's a good Wonder Woman. But that's just her being herself. She's not like an actress where she's embodying a new character. So she does the smirk and she's a couple things, but she doesn't have the charisma to like carry out with the other 2 guys. So she kind of.
Well, it's hard, because they're in the buddy role, and then she's kind of on her own. So yes, you didn't have as. And much then when she does interact with them, it's not even it's like heavyweights versus welterweights. She's like, oh, maybe I wish I never saw you 2 together with her in a room, because they're jazzing back and forth, and there's a 3rd person. And you're like, oh, okay. So I want to be a shout out to Toronto's own Chris Dematopoulos, who I am a big fan of. I loved him and all the things he does. He was the Russian billionaire arc, whatever thing in this movie. He's also the voice of Mickey Mouse, so he has range. And he was also in Silicon Valley. So there's a lot of things he's done that I'm a big fan of. He's great. And then Ritu, who it was so weird because she was so good in Umbrella Academy, and even in and Rob and I know her from an episode of Doctor Who. Even in the episode of Doctor Who, I'm like, oh, she's really good. And in this movie, she was just like so stiff and so incompetent. Is she the Interpol?
Yeah, she's the Interpol person. She's so incompetent. I'm like, okay, I see what you guys did here. Like, no wonder you guys are the best, because everyone around you are maroons. So it's like, this is like, she's not competent or capable in any shape or form. So I'm just like, it's just weird. It's just one of those things. So the cast was very minimal. It's like 4 people in this movie, and everyone else is like nobodies.
Yeah. So was it filmed this wasn't filmed before pandemic, so this is filmed after
it was filmed
pandemic protocols. Yeah. You can kind of tell there's an absence of bodies on the set for this movie. I don't know if that's a budget reason or whatever, but
the CGI in Rome, like with you see it, you're like, when you're watching the no spoilers in the trailer, when they were like the bullfighting scene, and you're like,
yeah, you can tell it's a green screen. Yeah,
like this is rough. I'm like, why even bother? This is
okay. Is it better or worse than Double Team with Van Damme and Dennis Rodman?
Dennis Rodman, I think at least they were there. This is like I would rather it be like,
I'm gonna have to dig up my laser.
That was at least an empty, dark Coliseum, but I'm sure they were there. This was like, oh, the CGI.
They're telling weather. They were doing the weather before.
Yeah, like the day, like the people in there during the day, and also I'm like, oh, this looks rough. So, anyways, we're gonna full spoilers now, because clearly, I was not a huge fan. Normally, I'd say it's fine. Even I don't even know if I could say it's fine. It was meh. So let's go on, John. Give you your full drop some knowledge on us.
Yeah, so this is essentially, I don't know if you want to call it a remake or a continuation of The Rundown, The Rock's movie with Stifler or whatever his name was. That's his fault for playing. Yeah, Sean William Scott. Yeah, so basically you take Sean William Scott out, you drop Ryan Reynolds in, and they're hunting this MacGuffin, which Ryan Reynolds refers to in Red Notice, which is hilarious. So it's very similar to that. And Ryan Reynolds, like, I think he does exactly what he does. He's really funny. and he tries to carry a lot of the scenes. And the Rock is kind of delegated to almost a sidekick role, which is fine. I think this works for the Rock. I don't think the chemistry is quite as good as him and maybe like Kevin Hart or something like that. But overall, it worked. Like I think their chemistry was good. Like Stu mentioned that the two buddies, so much so that when they did the first, or I don't remember which twist it is, when they twist it and it's like Rock's been playing them.
The first twist is the prison twist, where it's like, look, this is what happened in the prison. I think was that the first one of the, or was it?
That's a reveal. I'm fine with that. I think the twist of like Rock playing like when they were like, oh, I got you, was kind of like, because they just spent the whole movie building this buddy relationship, and the Rock's like, did you just try to save me? And you're like, oh, he puts on the egg and tries to save, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, they're buddies now, they can work together. And then they twist it and they erase that whole setup and they turn them all into con artists. Like, I don't think that was necessary. Like the Rock could have probably stayed like the straight arrow agent, and then Gal Gadot and Ryan. You already have two thieves con artists. Now you got all three. Like, so I don't know if I'm as interested in the sequel. Someone told me at the end credits that you hear Gal Gadot laughing or something, like "Don't Miss Me" or something like that. I don't know if you guys bothered watching to the end. Yeah.
I fast forward and didn't see anything, and I'm like,
yeah. Apparently, she comes on the audio and she laughs and like, "Don't miss me too much, boys," or something like that. But yeah, and then like, what was the other thing I had to say? Yeah, like it's basically, I felt very similar to the Rundown. I really wanted to watch Rundown again. Oh, and also Fast and Furious 4 called. They want their like final act back, with the tunnel races and stuff like that. It's exact same like device. And then
so much so that Ryan Reynolds calls Vin Diesel. There's a Vin Diesel joke in it. That's Vin. It's like, oh my god, they're going full meta.
That made me. I would laugh out loud at that one. Because
and then the Interpol agent, you question her motives. Like you're like, they didn't give her much to work with, yet she's willing to basically murder all her team to get to these guys. I'm like, why didn't she just let them go and figure it out? Like she definitely could have used a bit more, and Gal Gadot probably could have used I don't know, like an assistant or something, or a team or something like that. It was a little honestly, weird, and it was really weird to see him and her in a Rock like kind of have a romantic thing. I don't know why. It was, maybe it was just the way it was portrayed. It was kind of awkward.
Honestly, it's her cadence, the way that she speaks, and it's no disrespect to her. I think she can't elevate her voice to a higher pitch or lower pitch. It's the same Gal Gadot voice. And I'm very interested to see how she does Cleopatra, because every time I see Gal Gadot, it's the same tone and the same like rhythm of speech. She has a beautiful accent, but eventually it's like, now you just associate that with Wonder Woman and you don't see her do anything else. So it's kind of like with the joke about Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais just does Ricky Gervais. He doesn't pretend to do a different accent. He's just like, I'm just who I am. So the same thing with Gal Gadot. Like, she doesn't change her accent.
Is this an advertisement then? Because her movie is Cleopatra. They mentioned Cleopatra here.
Yeah, it's coming.
Ryan Reynolds is drinking his gin, 100%.
Aviation gin.
And
he had his Terramana.
Rock is drinking his tequila, and you're like, is it just a commercial for these three?
This is a commercial,
pretty much.
Performers, but it was cool to see them all on the screen at once. But maybe
was it cool to see them all at once? Because like when they were together.
It is when you're like, this movie has all three of these juggernauts, basically. They're considered, near the top of their game right now, right? So it is neat that they're all in one movie. I didn't think Gal Gadot was as bad as you say, but I think
honestly,
she did.
I'm not gonna lie.
She could have used a little bit of help, like someone else to play off of.
Even in this movie, like Rob, sorry, I get to you in a second. I would have rather, like, I know it's not I would rather Sandra Bullock be that role. She would have been way better. Like, because Gal Gadot, like, action. She didn't really do, like, she had a couple gun scenes, but she wasn't really that. She just was like arm candy and like look good in the dress and dance with the Rock for one moment. That whole thing was, what was the whole point of that scene where she's like, I'm gonna catch you? Like, was it like this whole thing of them fighting, like having this argument on the dance floor? I'm like, so that, to your point, John, that was inconsequential because they're together, but like it just felt like a qualified comedic actress actually doing it and actually adding something to it would have been much more interesting than just Gal Gadot.
Maybe they did throw in some action for her. She did get to like Ryan Reynolds. Shout out to Ryan Reynolds, who's willing to take a hit though. Like he's willing to look an idiot, which is great for to balance out the whole Rock can't look like an idiot, right, type thing. So
it's self-deprecation, right? So he's
he's willing to kind of like do that and like not be good with the with the weapons and stuff like that.
Because like the trailer itself, I'm like, I would rather another comedic actress. Like anyone else would have been much more interesting than Gal Gadot. She just
No, I think you're right. Then they could have leaned more into the comedy side. Right now, it kind of straddles like, and basically it's action with a little bit of comedy sprinkled in, which is Ryan Reynolds. So yeah, they could have leaned more.
So you could have gone more of a. You could have had Kate Winslet in there as a dramatic actor. Like,
100%. Get out of town.
Yeah, Kate Winslet could have done it. Yeah, she can do anything.
Okay,
that dude, that woman can do anything, man. She can do anything. But to your point, the restraint is that if you did a next movie and you put Gal Gadot in a room just with Ryan Reynolds with The Rock, it would be nothing. It'd be like it would just sit there like there'd be Ryan Reynolds really trying to keep that ball up. So like from the comedic, it's just like you look.
Yeah, maybe they'll get to spend. Maybe Gal Gadot had very little time on set, so she would kind of pop in, whereas The Rock and Ryan Reynolds are hanging out the whole. Like we won't know. Maybe they'll do a behind the scenes thing or whatever. Maybe they were hanging out like the whole time or whatever, and they already know each other from a couple different movies. And then Gal Gadot just kind of drops in, filmed her scene, and then has to go work on Cleopatra or whatever else going on.
But I honestly, I think the script didn't help her, and I think this character helped her. I think they just could have. She's just hot right now in terms of like, oh, she's the actress that would look good in this part. But I think we've seen it before. You could bring in someone else that would, if you're going to do the comedy bit, just bring someone else in. Rob, tell us your thoughts. This whole weird movie.
Yeah, I'm actually just taking a look to see what Gal Gadot has coming up because she doesn't do Cleopatra for quite some time.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, she's okay. Yeah, she's after Wonder Woman 3. So, I think if whether you're watching this review, you're listening to it, or you're talking to us afterwards, you could probably name any one of 36 movies where the DNA is ingrained in this, whether it's Ocean's 11 movies, whether it's The National Treasure, whether it's Romancing the Stone, or Jewel of the Nile, whatever, whether it's Indiana Jones, 48 Hours, even Jumanji and stuff. Like there are a myriad of DNA from other movies that are thrown into this, so that it is very familiar to you. And this is it lazy or is it smart? Because it allows you to sit back and feel comforted because there's something familiar about this, but and you're kind of cool to watch it. So it's not a detraction. It is what it is. I'm going to start off with like the Gal Gadot thing. And I agree with everything you guys have said, what Stu has said. Here's, my issue though, is that I feel like she's being pigeonholed as the sexy woman all the time. Every scene that we saw her in this movie was replicated from what we've seen in the Justice League, Batman versus Superman, the Wonder Woman where she's wearing the long dress with the slit up the one side of the leg, the dancing. She's stunning in a room full of average individuals. It's the same thing. Do you know what I would love to see her in? I would love to see her in like a horror movie. Do you know, like I would like to see her in like a cabin in the woods type of a, or even a romantic comedy where she's wearing, jeans and a sweater or something that she plays the every woman type thing. The Michelle Pfeiffer type, role after she did Catwoman, where she was kind of just, playing the average person who is, I want to see her in that because I think that it would be more endearing to see her be that relatable than as opposed to always being the knockout person who commands a room when she enters it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And so I would really hope that potentially her agents kind of help move her towards that, because I think how many dresses do we have to see her in all the time? And you're like, yes, okay, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. The whole prison breakout, the Russian gulag. Like, first of all, I was thinking, Interpol would never drop somebody to a black site like this and risk their lives, right? And to risk their lives. They say, hey, we're gonna put you in this black site where you may die, but we don't have to give you the rule of law doesn't exist for you, so good luck. Like a lot of this shit that happens, you're like, not like the Interpol aspect was laughable. It's like, you're not an actual threat. You're not an actual policing force if you're actually just saying, oh, well, you might die and be shivved in prison. Like, we're putting you in Gen Pop. Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. My favorite, the other thing is the opening scene where Ryan Reynolds is escaping the museum, and he keeps unbuttoning straps on the scaffolding or pulling out a pin. And I'm like,
yeah,
like I've worked on scaffolding in terms of stuff that I do for my work. That is not safe. I think if you can remove a pin from a certain section and part of it falls down, that was designed by, by sticks and balls. Like, what are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. It's kinetics. I thought that's
one of my favorite scenes, though. That was like,
Rob, so ridiculous.
I think from an occupational health and safety standpoint, you have to recognize that this is Italian stuff, so maybe it's not the same standard of what you're used to. It's kind of like when we watch in Shang-Chi with the bamboos being held together by like a little bit of rope.
Straps.
I think like rope. Yeah.
I think we from that standpoint, we've seen many businesses. We can see the pictures of people that are unsafe and using things in scaffolding incorrectly. So maybe they didn't do it correctly there. So
just dropping a pin, the whole thing falls.
The person using a ladder on top of a ladder to like paint. Like I feel like that is what's happening in Italy. So the people are like, I just gotta get stuff done. Yeah.
My favorite scene in this movie though is when Ryan Reynolds takes the moped bike, the little the less than crotch rocket bike, and off he goes. And The Rock comes out and he jumps into that Porsche Cayenne, right? And he turns the radio on, and of course, obviously, it's the Beastie Boys Sabotage, which is one of my favorite songs. Yes, right. I know. You see, it's the advertising for the Porsche. You see the LED screen pop up, drops it in gear, guns it, boom, hit by like I was like expecting there to be like a car chase scene like Six Underground, and there wasn't, and I laughed out loud. To me, that was hilarious.
And that's the thing. You're talking about all these things. It's Act 1 and Act 2. Like everything else after that's a complete wash.
Yeah. So and then you get to the whole thing, like the being tortured with the batteries was very Lethal Weapon, right? Where she's torturing him. That was probably the most playful we've ever seen Gal Gadot. Right? She was. It
took her a while to warm
playful.
up.
Yeah. But the whole thing with the poisoned champagne that wasn't really poisoned. I was like, what was it?
That was funny.
It was the fastest working, poison. It went right
through. Knockout juice.
Yeah. And then towards the end, like the end, the reveal in the jungle, which is not really a jungle, just a backlot set with with the painting of a jungle behind them.
There was some very obvious green screen going on.
And I was just like, all right, this for a movie that I think they went to like something like 7 different locales in the movie, whether it was Rome, and then you had Italy, you had Russia, like you had all these places. And they did their best to make it feel like you were actually there, kind of like how J.J. Abrams did it with Alias. Alias, they shot all in Los Angeles, but they would use special effects to make it look like they were in Turkey or Madrid or China. They would just buy matte painting and stuff like that. They tried to do that in this movie. It didn't have that scale, though. I think that these 3 stars and this movie would have felt a lot bigger had they actually gone to those countries, like how James Bond does. They actually go to those countries and film, and you get that sense. That they are on set as opposed to being in a set. So that for me kind of takes it away. But it's funny. They have their funny moments. I think Ryan Reynolds does well. I think that The Rock. It's funny that John mentioned Kevin Hart, because I think that Kevin Hart has a different sense of humor than what Ryan Reynolds does. Kevin Hart is funny. Ryan Reynolds, in his smartness comedy, Ryan Reynolds has a different type of humor, and it's not to say he's smarter than Kevin Hart, but I think that his jokes are just at a higher level in terms of his wittiness and his sarcasm. I felt that their interaction in Hobbs and Shaw in that diner scene, for me, was way better than some of the interaction in this movie. Yeah. And I felt like it's because that was a lot of it was ad-libbed in Hobbs and Shaw as opposed to this one. So all that to say, as much as it pulls me out at times, this movie is fun. It makes you feel like you've seen something very similar to this because they've stolen it from every other movie, and it's worth a watch. So yeah.
Is it worth a watch?
It is. I think it is. I think it's worth a watch.
Man, like I said, I think it's good you put it on while you're eating your dinner or while you're doing something else. And then,
doing laundry. Really, it's a show.
Yeah, folding laundry and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but on a Saturday night, like we're home.
But that's Netflix. I don't know.
If you're not going out, there's nothing that opened up this weekend that would warrant you to go out to the theater to see anything. if you're sitting at home for a Saturday night popcorn night, you throw it on. Like, guys, we have to remember when John, Stu, and I, we were all younger, you would go to the movie, to the video store, you rent 3 movies for the weekend, and you would watch them Friday night, and then Saturday you return it on Sunday. This is one of those rentals. You would pull it off the shelf and you throw it on a Saturday night and watch it with your family or with your friends or whatever.
The classic rent movie, 2 get 1 free.
Right, but that's what this movie is. It's a rental, and you're just renting it from Netflix.
Yeah, man, I'm so conflicted about this movie. But I would rather kind of go back and watch Romancing the Stone. I would rather go back to watch some of the older movies, 48 Hours. Like, if I had the opportunity, if it wasn't for this podcast.
Would you watch Rundown? Would you rather watch The Rundown or this? The Rundown does has Christopher Walken in it as well.
Has Walken.
Yeah. The Rundown also has The Rock with hair, and it's a little bit weird now seeing The Rock with hair.
It is funny.
So that scene in The Rundown, the first minute where he's in the bar going in, he sees Schwarzenegger come out, is like, good luck in there, and he's and he's describing the football players, and they're cutting in and splicing. It's like, this guy's defensive lineman, blah blah blah, and the inner splicing. That first scene, he goes to the bar to collect, was much more interesting than half of this movie, where you're like,
it was clever. Yeah, he's like, I don't want to hurt these guys' chances to win whatever. Right? Yeah, you're like, ooh. Yeah, there's a thing about that one, and then the Thunder and Lightning with Tommy, Sean William Scott, about him fighting. There's a nuance of that movie where, and they go to Colombia or whatever the country is, and Christopher Walken's there. So Christopher Walken, I built you a town.
It's just that's the thing. There's a proper villain that is much more interesting than Gal Gadot, who's the villain.
He'll rock the boat.
Ends up to be no villain. There's no villain in this movie. It was like,
they're technically, that guy is just window dressing. That guy is not actually the bad guy.
Yeah, there's no bad guy. The bad guy, it's like the whole thing. I'm just going there like, oh, there's no.
Well, they make Interpol the bad guy. Is really what it is. They make law enforcement the bad guy.
Well, law enforcement's incompetent. They're not bad guys. They're actually trying to do their job, because at the same time, they're the bad guys. What do you mean Interpol's they are stealing?
Well, yeah, so, but that's the whole point, is that you are actually now rooting for them to be successful. So therefore, if their mission is to be thwarted, it's by the good guys, who in turn are actually that's how it's interpreted. We're meant to not root for Interpol to win, right? So.
What about the Ed Sheeran cameo?
No, that was funny too. Yeah, he goes, I was on Game of Thrones.
Is he on Game of Thrones? Is that a joke? Or?
No, he was on Game of Thrones. He was on an episode of Game of Thrones.
And there was a backlash because he was on Game of Thrones. It was like, oh my God, why is it so?
He played a singer.
No, he played a knight of the Lannister army who was eating food with a fire.
They were singing. They were doing. Were they doing?
Yes, he did do a little bit of singing too. Yes, because one of the Stark children runs into these Lannisters. They talk. And then as she's going to find her siblings, and then
it was like season 4 or something like that. Yeah,
no, it was
a great cameo by him.
It was season 6 or 7. It was.
No, I thought Sigur Rós was season 7. That band, I think, was Anyways, whatever.
Nonetheless, no, I think it was season 7, because season 8 was the finale that no one liked. But we'll whatever. Anyways, so I cannot get over how bad the third act was in terms of the whole reveal, in terms of the Nazi thing. I was like, what the freak is going on here? It's like, oh my, actually,
national treasure with the watch.
It was like, oh, and the watch, and then the whole thing. John, well, you're right. It was like this whole thing about Gal Gadot being 2 bishops. I'm like, ugh, this is so stupid.
Yeah, I think they shouldn't have done that. I do like the part where they get all the eggs together, and the guy's like, the 3 eggs, and you're like, whoa, and then Ed Sheeran comes on, and the daughter's like, whoa, Ed Sheeran. I'm like, that is so 100% true of what would happen. You get this elaborate thing, and then you'd be like, oh, here's a Cardi B or something. Oh, forget this.
I don't think it'd be Cardi B. I think it would be as we discovered last week in the Eternals, with a special cameo of an actor. That would be what it is. It'd be like, oh, it's that guy, and then everyone just walks off. I think that's the thing. So, needless to say, man, I just wish they had a stronger actress to be it. I think, Rob, you're right. I think I look back at Gal Gadot's movies, and I think the only movie where I remember being a normal person and wasn't being a super sexy spy was in Date Night. I think she was just in a small role in that one. And every other movie she's been in, she's been some sort of badass who has gun shooting. Again, she was in the army, but at the same time, as you can be more than just a gun touting, woman. So every single movie, including the movie with John Hamm, where they play like spies or same thing. She plays as this neighbor next door, but actuality, she's in lingerie.
Yeah, keeping up with the Joneses or whatever.
Yeah, so even that movie, I'm just like, man, you're just the same thing. So yeah, I feel like The Rock talked about how he was trying to line his career up like Schwarzenegger. That's why he did the Tooth Fairy and all the stuff and these things. Like, I feel like you're right, Rob. She needs to pivot, but to be fair, she's gonna get there eventually, because eventually she's gonna age into the mom territory and she won't be able to do this anymore. So again, get paid while you can being this, because as every actress would say, eventually they no longer cast you in these roles. And then
it's no different than The Rock always playing the invincible guy in all his movies, right? So it's fine. But yeah, I think she does lack a humanized element.
She acts. She lacks acting prowess. That's what it is.
Do you think though that The Rock looked really awkward taking his bumps in this movie? Did you notice, like, especially when he was trying to jump up onto the, like, when the bridge collapses, he looked like a turtle when he landed. He was like, oh, trying to get up.
Why shoot the helicopter first? Why would he shoot the bridge?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He's running to the helicopter. Take the helicopter out first. Rock's got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did look really awkward, like when his bumps on that, like for a guy who was a professional wrestler for 15 years, he did not look like he took his bumps very well. He looked like a turtle. He looked like,
to be fair, John, maybe he was aiming for the helicopter. It might have been a stunt
performer. And I feel like a lot of stunt performers around this. Sorry.
He aimed for the helicopter, but the rocket went down. It's kind of like Mission Impossible. Where
he was clearly aiming for the bridge.
Yeah, no, it's right here. Remember, it went like onto the rock, and like it was he tracked him.
He clearly did not aim for the helicopter.
Yeah.
It would have made sense if he aimed for the helicopter and hit the bridge. Yeah,
it's like in I thought it was kind of like, in my mind, it was kind of like Lady Jessica in Mission Impossible Fallout, where she's trying to aim and she hits the guy in the head mistake. And Tom, both Tom, Lady Jessica was talking to Superman, Henry Cavill, and Tom Cruise is like, yeah, sorry, I was aiming for his chest. Meanwhile, she shot him the guy in the head. So yeah, that was I to wash this movie away from me. I am watching Mission Impossible Fallout.
Ooh, I'll watch Mission Impossible.
Man, oh man, Mission Impossible Fallout. I was like, Henry Cavill, you're the best. And I was like, at the end, I was like, all right, I was like, oh, maybe. And then I saw the end. I'm like, oh, never mind. Because like,
you can come back. Yeah, you can come back. I don't know how.
We watched the end, John, with him. And
how they come back. I remember. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, maybe. And then boom, something hits him. And I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, the hook.
I was like, face. Maybe it'll be a brother or something. I don't know. But I was watching the Fallout because I ended up watching. And then I ended up watching all 3 Mission Impossible movies just to wash over Red Notice yesterday in between. I saw that at like 5 o'clock right after work. And I'm like, I'm going to wash this out. So I watched Ghost Protocol. What's Ghost Protocol, Fallout, and what's the other one in between?
Oh my God.
Wow. Was it?
Rogue Nation.
Rogue Nation. Yes. Rogue Nation. Yeah, and I'm watching all 3 Mission Impossibles instead last night. When I was done, so the whole night was just watching Mission Impossible movies. So yeah, I'm super excited for the next Mission Impossible movie. That's all I gotta say. I'm like, I forgot Lady Jessica was in these movies. I was like, oh yeah, there she is. Yeah. So I'm super excited for that. And then I also forgot that Alec Baldwin was in these movies. I was like, oh right.
He's got some great behind the scenes interviews, which are absolutely hilarious to deal with Mission Impossible.
Yeah, no, he has a good couple scenes in that, and I was like, all right, we're gonna go, and then it works out well and then Angela Bassett shows up. I'm like, yes, Angela Bassett, this is great. Anyway, so nonetheless, 2 of 3 of us recommend watching this movie. I guess. Fine, I'll say if it's in the background, but I would say not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As a Netflix movie, I feel like it's pretty good as a Netflix movie.
Listen, I think we have to give it a BTV rating, a better than Venom. All right, so
get out of here.
BTV 2, BTV 2,
BTV 2. Yeah, so it's a BTV. Yeah, definitely. Way
At least the fact that you remembered it this time, unlike our last review, we didn't even talk about Venom. We're like, all these superhero movies, and nobody corrected us. We're like, no,
the one we just saw
the previous week, where it just went in and out. We're like, oh, this
okay,
yeah. Anyway,
but there's been a lot of movies that we've seen on Netflix that have been released exclusively to Netflix, despite maybe some of them having theatrical. I think this one we'll probably remember this one a little bit more than some of the other ones that we've seen.
And then also, not gonna lie, before this podcast, I actually just rewatched the scene in Cuba and Bond. So I just rewatched it because it's my favorite part of the movie. I'm like, right, this is what action with chemistry, when you have a good actress who probably is not well known, but man, I would rather her in this movie than Red Notice because she was so incredible. She
did crush that scene.
That
entire sequence. She crushed
in heels and that, just crushing it more than Gal Gadot. I'm like, can we just? And that's why I'm super excited for Ama de Armas to be possibly in the John Wick films, because I'm like, man, she has.
No, I don't want her to be in that spin-off, the ballerinas. I want her to give her own vehicle, man.
She's not going to get a Bond movie, so give her this vehicle, because Bond.
No, but I don't expect her to get a Bond movie, but I think she needs to give her a different, put her into a John Wick proper. I think that these offshoot movies are never to me, yeah.
I'm good with it, because
put her in a Marvel movie, make her the new Black Widow, get rid of Frances Pugh.
Well, if you forgot how good she is already, it's like not even a month goes by where she's doing the superhero pose and flipping her hair, and you're like, that was amazing. No, we're good. Let's just let's keep her fine, put her in John Wick film, or because again, there's not much really as we talked before we wrap up and on another tangent. Robin and myself had this long conversation about Henry Cavill. There's not much Marvel superheroes left for people to be, because we talked. I went through. Robin's like, who can Henry Cavill be? And I went through the Marvel website, 76 pages of characters, and I'm like, he's not going to be a bad guy. And I sent him a list. I'm like, Hercules, Captain Britain, and I'm like, there's
Sentry.
There's like 3 people. He was like, but Henry Cavill can be. And then the article came out, and Henry Cavill's like, it'd be great. Captain Britain. I love being British. And I'm like, line this man up. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go, Captain Britain. Because as we know, the Eternals has Excalibur. So just give him the sword and let's go. I just want.
I take him as a new Cyclops. I take him as a Cyclops.
He's too big to be Cyclops, man. He's too big.
No,
Cyclops supposed to be a big guy. He towers over the other X-Men.
No, but Cyclops. No, no.
No. Cyclops is ripped. He just wears like a blue onesie.
Yeah. You know what? I'd rather see him as Wolverine than Cyclops.
I think
he'll always
because he's got the body hair as well, so he might as well put the claws on him.
But the Wolverine's supposed to be small. Like honestly, he's so good. He's embracing his Britishness, like the fact that he's like John, to your heart, like he loves Warhammer, and that's very British. He likes painting those stuff. Like he's just one of those guys where even when he does he has that very posh accent, and you can imagine him sitting there sipping his tea and chatting with the Avengers. It's just like a good conversation piece. It's like, to let him just do his own accent and be British. Because every movie he's in, even in Fallout, he's doing like American accent. Like, let him be British. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Like Superman, he does a good, fine North American, but it's nice to be able to do your own. Just like the Eternals, where they didn't care. It's like, do whatever accent you want, and they just go with it. So, let's say #free Henry Cavill is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. #free Henry Cavill.
All right.
And Witcher. John, which is coming up soon. We'll talk about that later. What do we have going on? Where can we find you on the internet in the desert of the real?
Yeah, so Heroes World Online is your key phrase. Gets us on on our website, on most of our social media, Instagram, Facebook. You'll find us there, the Twitch channel, everything like that. So please follow, like, subscribe. You guys have all been doing a wicked job of helping us out, getting us to Twitch. We just got up to our latest echelon of things, and the YouTube is almost at 1.5K followers. So thank you everybody for always doing that for us. If you are available to come in person in Markham, we are at 8601 Warden Avenue, big plaza. We've got bubble tea, we've got cookies, very, very crazy cookies, Panic computers in there, McDonald's, all kinds of fun stuff that you can get there. And we are packed to the brim with all kinds of stock. We got trade paperbacks. A lot of people hunting for Christmas stuff. We got toys, statues, the latest line of hot toys, a lot of Star Wars stuff. So if you're on our social media feeds, you'll see all that new stuff as it comes in, and definitely drop in to get some of it to kind of give to your loved ones or yourself. Self-care.
Cannot stress how important it is to start buying stuff. Supply chain is an issue, as Rob and I discussed before. There are no even Christmas trees at IKEA this year, real life ones, because supply chain is all messed up. So if you need to buy stuff, buy it.
It's
now.
crazy. Yeah, shipping is gonna get. It's already getting
bonkers.
Crazy right now. It's gonna get absolutely bonkers in December. So it's good to, if you're looking for something special, let us know now. I can't count the number of times where it's been Christmas Eve or the week of Christmas, and people are like, "Hey, can you get this? And will the order come in?" I'm like, "No."
And that's a normal.
If I order
year.
something, if I order, normal years, and then this has been crazy. So if I order something, it's probably not going to show up till 2 weeks after Christmas. If I'm lucky. So the sooner you let us know, the sooner we can help you out. But we got tons of stuff in stock, so come check us out.
Yep. And then again, if you do want to order it, then John will also be able to ship it out on his return as well. If you shipping, so please support any way you can, big or small. Any purchase is most welcome to small businesses. If you're unable to support John in Canada or even parts of North America, if you're far out, go and support your local store. And as always, thank you for liking, subscribing on all the fun things. Let us know your thoughts on Disney Plus and Red Notice. Let me know if you hashtag free Henry Cavill. Is that a thing we should do, and get him as Captain Britain? Because I immediately sent the article that to Rob. Was it from Variety where he?
No, Hollywood Reporter.
Fantastic
article.
He is not tied down to a contract, as far as I know. I think so.
I think he's tied down for Superman in case they want to, but I don't think they're active on that. And frankly, he should just do something else, because that universe is a mess. I would rather Henry Cavill do a Excalibur TV show where he just gets to just wear fancy suits and just hang out in the UK, which frankly for him would also be like, I don't have to leave. I'll just be in the UK. Great. It's great. No travel. So that's something I would love to see more. And then, Rob, where can we find you? What's going on this Monday Sidekick Show?
Boy, we've talked before in the past about how I'm a fan of the Western film genre. Well, there's a new Western movie out on Netflix that, again, just like Red Notice, was in theaters for a week or so and is also on Netflix, called The Harder They Fall, with Idris Elba, Regina King, Jonathan Majors, who was on SNL last night. I recorded. I'm going to watch that later today.
Ooh,
or I may have already watched it. That's right. And a whole bunch of other great actors. So you definitely want to check out. We're reviewing that tomorrow night on the Sidekick Show, John and I, at 8:15 p.m. on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. Definitely join us. You have an opportunity. If you're watching this Sunday night, go put it on. It's 2.25, I think, John, right? 2.25 hours. So
yeah, it's a little over 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's cool. I think even if you're not a big Western fan, I think you may find something in the movie that you will enjoy.
It is like Deadwood, where these are based on real characters, real people. So they're based on actual real life people. And then the events, of course, are dulled up.
Right. So definitely you can join us there, and we'll catch everybody tomorrow night.
Yes. So thank you as always for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed our small review as well as our thoughts on Disney Plus Day.
Disney Day, as Rob says.
Rob, there's D23, there's Comic-Con. This is not the time for them to like drop big stuff, considering how they need people to go to the theaters to watch movies. So anyway,
if you are telling people that you are saying, hey, we've upped your prices for your yearly membership, we're showing you what it is that your new money is buying, then show me something. Don't show me placards of shit that's not coming out next year.
There was the video of Will Smith, a video of Chris Helmsworth. There's a John mentioned Sneakerella. There was the Proud Family trailer. There's stuff, man. It's just not for you. You're just upset that it's not to Rob. Here's Rob. Here's what it is for you. So I think, Rob, that's the thing. If they sent you a personalized email and be like, this is stuff you like, Rob. Are you happy? Are you not entertained? Then maybe that's a thing. But they're trying to hit many tentpoles. No. So clearly John is in the wheelhouse, because both the three things he likes, which is Sneakerella, which also as well as the Disenchanted movies, this is the thing, man. And then that's it, Rob. So just embrace these movies. Hocus Pocus 2, embrace the stuff. Will Smith or This Is Earth, and then Chris Helmsworth, Limitless, where they again try to kill him each week. So just watch that. It's good.
Nope. All right,
that's fine. Rob doesn't like National Geographic. That's what I think. That's the thing. So
yeah, burn the world. Who cares?
Burn the world. All right. Thanks everyone. Have a good one. Have a good week. See you.
See you guys.